Evans Rambold is Director of Communications for Policite, a public policy think tank in Haiti. He joins us now from the capital, Port-au-Prince. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. So let's just get straight into it. It's been 7 months since President Moise was killed, and now his opponents are demanding that his Prime Minister step down. Is the current administration unconstitutional in your view?
Thank you for having me, Sepi. So it's an honor to be here with you. Yes, of course, when you're considering what's the link between the Prime Minister and Jovenel Moise, and you can say that right now the Prime Minister is totally unconstitutional because his functions were linked to the mandate of the former president. Now he's claiming that he has to stay in power because he has signed a political compromise, a political accord with some members of political parties in Port-au-Prince. But this accord is lacking the legitimacy that is necessary to, continue to keep the power in these instances. So, of course, when you talk to the lawyers, when you talk to the activists, political activists in Haiti, they are all saying the same thing. Of course, there is no one who can have the legitimacy right now, because what would be the legal thing to do is to have a president and a new prime minister. Since we don't have the possibility to organize elections and we don't have the legal path right now, so there should be a compromise between the prime minister and all the political parties, so they can have a new transition government to organize elections.
So just stepping back a few steps, President Moise himself ruled by decree since the elections in October 2019. I'm talking about legislative elections here, and there were only 10 officials elected, I believe. So what you're saying is that the Prime Minister has already inherited a flawed democratic process, but he has received support from the West, particularly the US and other Western powers who were actually trying to rush along elections. Could this be the reason why he feels that he has the right to stay in power until there is a proper, so to speak, democratically elected government?
Absolutely, and that's where he's wrong. Like, you cannot decide to follow what other foreign countries are deciding for our own country. He knows he can't stay in power. He knows it's illegal, and at least according to the activists in Haiti. But if you're following his logic, saying that because the United States or international community is supporting him, he has to stay in power, he's got it all wrong. Because if he forces to organize elections, people are not going to participate. And it's going to be a waste of time, a waste of energy, and a waste of money for the country. This population has suffered long enough. I don't think we need to stay in this situation right now, because the Prime Minister has to understand that the best way to move forward, the best way to work with the Haitian civil society is to talk to them, and then come to a compromise so they can come together to organize elections. It's not going to be the United States, it's not going to be France or Canada or the United Kingdom, it's going to be the Haitians. Haitians have to come with a solution to the crisis. Of course, you need their support, but in that case, in the situation that we're right now, the support of the United States is not going to help the situation. And I think the United States understand that they're not fully saying that they are supporting him. They are, because Brian Nichols has tweeted something that may be perceived as a support for Ariel Henry, but we don't know if they openly if they are openly supporting Henry.
Well, let's see what the Prime Minister himself is suggesting, that they're doing everything they can in order to manage the government through the establishment of a council by the end of the year, a provisional electoral council. Will that help quell the political unrest? Would Haitians be satisfied with that?
Well, I think there's several things to consider. The first thing is that there is no trust in that government. And there was no trust in Jovenel's government. And Jovenel has tried to organize elections. He has constituted an electoral council before Ariel, and it didn't work. So there is no way that this new council is going to work. There is no way that they are going to be able to organize elections. That's one thing. The other thing is the willingness of the population to participate in election. So if you consider the fact that in the last elections, in 2015, 2016, only between 20 to 26% of the people, of the eligible voters went to election. And we're talking about like 6.1 million people that are eligible to vote, and we didn't get 27% of the population that went to vote. And the President Jovenel, he won with less than 10% of the eligible voters. So if you compare that reality with what we have right now, because there is so much insecurity, there are gangs around Port-au-Prince and on the wards when you live in Port-au-Prince, when you're going to other cities. So people are not going to vote. So if you have that government that people don't trust, and then you have this situation of insecurity, and you're going to call the people to go to vote, it's going to be a waste of time and energy and money. People are not going to vote. And then the third thing to consider is like, to organize elections in this country, you need full support of the civil society. You need full support of the political parties, because you're doing elections for the political parties and the population. Even if they are not with you, it's going to be a vain exercise. You have to get them with you to organize elections.
What about the Montana Accord? They've appointed economists Fritz Jean to lead the group, and what they are suggesting is a 2-year transition government before holding elections. Would that appease Haitians in general? Because, as you say, the Prime Minister has to appeal to the broad political spectrum, and the Montana Accord, I believe, includes civil society organizations and opponents from the political sphere.
Yeah, but what to understand here is like that's the first time the Haitian civil society was able to gather so many political parties, so many civil society organizations to come with an accord, a compromise. And if you take that and the new development that came last year, a bit earlier this year, I think, they signed a new accord with another spectrum of the political parties. So that means the accord that was signed last year right now is bigger than that was signed last year. So you need to consider that you have a huge part of the civil society and the political parties that are backing that accord. And in that accord, they are calling for the Prime Minister to be part of what they call an presidential college. So that would have the people that they elected in their accord last year and 4 other people from the actual government, the civil society, and then another organization of political parties. So it's not going to be like one accord that is going to lead the transition, but representatives from different accords and the actual government and the civil society. But what we are witnessing right now is that the Prime Minister doesn't want to take that path. He wants to stay on top and then offer them some positions, which is not what the civil society wants right now. We want a political compromise with everybody so that they can go to that direction to organize elections.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Yvette Rumboldo is the Director of Communications for Polycite, a public policy think tank in Haiti, speaking to us from the capital, Port-au-Prince.